Netta's Nursery in Posen opens to the public on May 1st, and I thought this was the perfect time to give you some tips on shopping in a nursery like ours. When choosing your plants, like this lantana here, it's really easy for you to kind of just look at these two and decide one might be better than the other. Most people, they're going to pick this one, but in reality, it's only the best choice if you're planning to maybe give it as a gift or if it's something that you want to look good right now, this second. Otherwise, we always say pick buds over blooms. And that's because in 2 weeks' time, or even less, these flowers aren't going to be there anymore. And the new buds are going to, I can see a couple on there, but they're not too far along. You're going to lose a lot of color on this. Whereas this one, look at how full that one is. This is going to definitely be the best choice. And while I have these in my hand, this is also the best way for you to handle your plants. So if you're going to pick something up, pick it up from the pot. You won't believe how many people pick it up by the stem and kind of ragdoll them around. It's not a pretty sight. So pick them up by the pot. The other tip, if you're going to look at tags, instead of pulling out the tag, it's usually better to look at them like this. You can flip them over. If you still can't read it, keep the plant in your hand and look at them there. Now I know a lot of you are going to have to put the plant down because you need to put your glasses on, that type of thing. That's perfectly normal. But make sure you keep track of where this plant's going. And if you're going to compare tags, always keep one back in. Never have two tags out at the same time because you're bound and that it's going to get all mixed up and backwards. And nobody likes tags in the wrong spot. So help us out and help yourself out because you're going to get confused over which one you're actually looking at. I've got another tip. If you're having trouble reading a tag, use your phone to snap a picture. You can then zoom in to get a better look, and the information is going to be stored on your phone for future reference. And on the topic of tags, I should tell you what's on a tag. So when you're getting these tags, all of them are going to tell you the height. And that can be really handy because you want to know which ones are going to be taller, so those you can put further in the back, which ones are going to be lower, which ones are going to be trailing, which ones are going to be mounding. But they also will tell you, someone will tell you the width. That's going to tell you how wide the plant's going to get. Other ones are going to call it spacing. And spacing usually means how close together you should plant those in order to get kind of full coverage, which means they're going to kind of grow in together. So spacing might actually be a little bit smaller than the size of the actual plant, but that's just because the plants will feather in together. Also, the tags are always going to tell you how much sun these things need. So when it comes to amount of sun, if it's a full sun plant, that usually means it needs 6 hours of sunlight every day. And if it doesn't get that, it's not going to perform quite as well. If it's a part sun plant, it needs 3 to 6 hours of sun every day, and it can take hot afternoon sun. If it's part shade, that means it needs those 3 to 6 hours, but it doesn't like that hot afternoon sun. And then if it's shade, it needs 3 hours or less of sun. If it gets more than that, you could burn them, and it definitely doesn't like full direct afternoon sun. Now there are some part shade and part sun plants that can take full sun, but usually that means they're either going to need a lot of water or air circulation, that type of thing. But we usually don't recommend pushing that. Although a lot of people put their coleus in full sun and they just say as long as I keep it watered, it does fine. I don't know, test it out before you invest a lot into a huge amount of plant for that area. I'm sure we have some more tips coming up. Oh, you know what, I'm going to tell you about wagons, but I'm going to get a wagon for you. 1 second. Okay, so garden centers provide you with wagons and carts. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to browse and get around with your purchases. But I'm going to also recommend that you also include one of these trays or a couple of these trays and use it to put your pots into them, because if you don't, pots like this 4.5 inch pot, when they're on a wagon, they wobble around, end up on their side, end up on the floor. It's just not a great thing for you. You end up picking stuff up or damaging plants. So put them in there, they stay put. It makes it easy also when you're going for checkout. We can easily count what you have and everything's nice and organized. If I had another tip for you, it would be if you have the option, always shop on a weekday, not a weekend at a garden center. No matter where you go, garden centers get really, really busy on the weekend. You're going to have a much more relaxed experience on a weekday, and you're also going to have more time with the staff and better access usually. So that would be my other tip. I think I've got you started. Hope to see you after May 1st.